Well, hello, everybody. Just once again, my name is Sarah Williams. I'm the Public Policy and Advocacy Director at Mccoy, Marion County Commission on Youth. I'm hoping we can use the last half hour or so just to go over, have a quick conversation with the two senators that are here. Senator Glick, don't worry, I won't ask any hard questions or anything, because I know that we weren't originally expecting you or on the schedule. So we're so glad that you're able to tune in and contribute your thoughts. I just kind of wanted to start out. We put together a quick video of top tips on connecting with your legislators. But then I hope that after we watch this video, we can then have a quick conversation with the legislators here and hear from themselves about kind of the best ways to get in contact with them, to stay in contact, to share information and opinions and thoughts. So we'll just take it away with this. Hi, I'm Sarah, Mccoy's Public Policy and Advocacy Director. One of the best parts of my job is speaking with Indiana legislators to make sure that the laws that are passed at the State House will support Hoosier children, their families, and their caregivers. But I want my voice to be one of many. I want to make sure you feel confident, empowered, and ready to share your opinions with those who are elected to represent you. So, here are my top 5 ways to communicate effectively with your legislator. Number 1, do your homework. Before you meet with your legislator, make sure you've done some research and know a little bit about them. What issues do they care about most? And what House or Senate committees do they serve? Who are the people in their district that they were elected to represent? Number 2, time your meetings well. Indiana legislators are very busy people and often have only short amounts of time to meet with their constituents. Come ready with all the important information you want to share with them written on one page that they can keep and reference when the time comes for them to make voting decisions on the issues you care about. Keep your meetings short, concise, and don't forget to make a request, whatever it may be. Number 3, show your legislator what you have to offer. You have so much to offer, and your legislator wants to hear from you. Do you have a story about how a particular law affected you, your family, or the people you serve? Can you offer research or data about a particular issue? Indiana lawmakers vote on laws ranging from school funding to truck driver safety, from building new highways to providing assistance to the farmers who grow our food. They tackle all sorts of issues, and it's hard for them to be experts in any one topic. That's why they count on you, their constituents, to educate them so that they know that they are representing you the way you want them to. Number 4, keep in touch all year long. In Indiana, we have a part-time legislature, which means that they only meet each year from January until about March or April. But just because they aren't in session doesn't mean you shouldn't keep in touch. In fact, the best times that you can have quality meetings with your legislators are when they aren't so busy at the State House. They can spend more time sitting down with you, and odds are they will be back home in your district, meaning you won't have to travel far to see them. Number 5, this work never ends. Just because a good law was passed this year doesn't mean it won't get completely changed next year. Legislation is always changing, and it's up to us to keep up with what's happening at the State House. There you have it. Influencing legislators is tough work, but it's important that we all feel empowered and ready to do it. Now get out there, meet your legislator, and make good change for our community and our state. All right, thank you for sharing that. It's always a little awkward seeing myself on video, so thanks for bearing with that. If you guys want to access that video to share with your network, it is available at our Indiana Youth Justice Coalition website, which my colleague Maddie will go over in a little while. And so you can certainly use that and share it with your network. So let's just start the conversation. I'm hoping we can just have kind of a casual conversation with the legislators that have stuck around, just to ask, you know, what's the best way to communicate with them? What are great ways or great stories that they've heard from advocates, things like that. So I see Senator Glick is here. I think I saw Senator Bro rejoined too. If I'm missing anybody, feel free to speak up. And also for any of the other advocates that Johnny had mentioned, please feel free to chime in with your 2 cents as well. So the first question that I have for the legislators here are, what types of advocacy stands out for you when a constituent reaches out to you, and can you give an example?
Well, I'll jump in, Senator Glick. We can alternate because I know I will jump in probably a lot, but I am working on a piece of legislation right now. I've just kind of begun the legwork from. I participated in a annual conference put on by Improving the Status of Children. And as part of that conference, a lot of young people like Christopher and some of the others that were on the phone called this earlier this morning, a lot of young people were present, and they were actually part of the program. And one young lady indicated that she was, and I believe she was becoming emancipated out of the foster care system, and talked about the need for having some kind of training that dealt with not only financial literacy, but how to access state services, because as they age out, they are going to now be responsible for getting their own food. So SNAP was an issue that they were concerned about. HIP, having access to healthcare services. So they wanted to know how to access the HIP program. And also, in addition to those, and in addition to just basic financial literacy, balancing a checkbook and that sort of thing, how to complete a financial aid application for college, which any of you who've gone through that process know how daunting that can be. And without having supports there to help you through that, then it becomes almost undoable. So the most meaningful kind of advocacy for me is one that is that has a personal story associated with it, so that I can fully understand why this is so important to you. And most of this, all of the successful legislation, really most of the successful legislation that I've had has come from individuals who have reached out to me and have said, Senator Bro, I need your help. And not all of them even reside in my district. But if there is a specific issue that you're trying to address, one other situation that I can recall is a family that had a disabled adult son, and they were in the process of trying to get all sorts of information, and the son died during that process. And so the information stopped, and they were left hanging without any real resolution. So we were able to, over a couple of years, it took a couple of iterations, but we were able to get legislation passed that wouldn't benefit this family per se, but anyone else that might find themselves in a similar situation in the future. They would not, they would be able to fulfill the remainder of the whatever information they were attempting to get for at least 30 days past the death of the individual. So for me, it's about having a meaningful relationship to the issue that you're presenting, and being able to bring that forward, and working with me over the summer, as I think the video said. During session is not the best time, but during the summer we can sit down and really look at the issue, find out if there's already a piece of legislation in effect, so that we don't need to do this, and we can just highlight you and direct you to where you can get that issue resolved. Or if there's no way to currently address it, then we can sit down and figure out what the strategy would be, and so forth. So that's always the best.
Thank you.
Me.
Did somebody else have something to say? Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, so that actually segues us great into my next question, which is, what's the best way for people to communicate with you, both in session and also once session is over, so throughout the year? So I actually used to work on Capitol Hill myself, and so I'm familiar with kind of being on the receiving end of constituent correspondence and phone calls and advocates coming to the office. And so I know that every office is very different in terms of what they prefer. You know, do they prefer emails or handwritten letters or phone calls, or interaction through social media? You know, everybody's a little bit different. So Senators Breaux and Glick, what do you prefer in terms of, you know, when your constituents are reaching out to you, what's the best way for people to do that?
I think they should start with an email or a letter, make contact and basically outline what it is they're seeking. What we get many times are very, you know, a telephone call is often very disjointed because people are hurried. They're not sure they're going to, they're going to talk to anyone. So then when you get them on the phone, then they forget what it was that they wanted to tell you, and they eliminate, or they forget those issues, the key points that they wanted to make. So the best way to do it is by email or letter, where they can make the initial contact otherwise. But an email or a letter is very helpful, because then we have something in front of us, a framework. In that email or letter, always include a telephone number so that we can I perform better on the telephone. When I have something in front of me, then we can go back over what the ideas they had, or maybe that they were bringing forth, rather than just a cold call out of the blue. I think that is helpful. And then if there's follow-up to be made, sometimes a lot of issues people bring up have already been remedied. They're just not aware of what that remedy is, or where that avenue is that they should pursue, that they could get where they want to go without legislation, for example. They've already got it in law. It's just they're not aware of it. And that's very helpful. Secondly, so many of you represent organizations. And I know you know what Mccoy is, but many groups, we've never heard of you. So when you use the acronym, you might as well be speaking a foreign language, because a lot of us don't know, or those initials might be very similar to a different group and a different avenue. ICYC or something like that may have a meaning in your area. It may have a totally different meaning at a state level, a local level, a regional level. So make sure that you articulate who you are and who you represent, or what group you participate with. It's helpful if you don't use a shotgun approach. Many people call us or email us and they say, we want a remedy, and then we have 40 issues. Identify those issues in terms of priority, what we want to talk, what we really need, what we would like to see, and hopefully down the road, here's where we want to end up, or here's the intentions that we have. Sometimes when you just shotgun it and you just say, well, I'd like to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and it looks like a Christmas tree, and you're not going to get half of what you really want if you don't prioritize and give us an idea what's really important, what we can live with and what we can live without, in some kind of a framework.
Thank you.
And for me, I'm probably a little bit the opposite. I really am a touchy-feely person, and I let my staff know that constituent services is the most important aspect of my job. I'm in the super minority in the Senate, and so I say, Senator Glick, as you know, it's sometimes very difficult for me to get a bill passed, but I can help my constituents access the services of state government. So I may not be able to get a bill passed, but I can certainly help my constituents. And so that for me is the most important part or aspect of this job. And so I prefer to have, if somebody calls my office and speaks with my legislative assistant, if they are willing to come in and sit down with me, I will always encourage them to do that, even if it's during session, although my preference is for it to be during when we're not in session. But if we can't do a face-to-face where you give me your information and I ask questions, kind of help hone it down for you and clarify it a little more, then I like getting a email with a telephone number, and then I will call you back, and then we can have a conversation over the phone. But I think it's important to talk to a constituent. because so many of the constituents I represent, I tell my legislative assistants that that we believe every story that a constituent may share with us as to an experience that has happened to them. Because in the communities that I represent, some of the most fantastic stories are very, very true. And so we don't discount or discredit any story until we've done our research and done our due diligence. But we take every initiative that is brought to me as a fact, and we work from that position going forward.
Great, thank you for that. And also just for everybody else's reference, which we'll go over in a little bit, we have compiled a list of all of the senators and representatives who have been strong advocates for the work that we're doing, and we've compiled their contact information for both themselves and their legislative assistants. So we'll go over that in a little bit, so then you all leave this prepared with that information on how to get directly in contact with these senators, the representatives that were here earlier, and others. So I just want to be mindful of the time, so Maddie has enough time to go over our website and everything, but I'll just ask one last question, kind of combining my final two questions. Is 2020 has been a weird year, and we're expecting 2021 to continue to be kind of a weird year in terms of being able to be at the State House, providing testimony, sharing those stories that that you all hold, so important. So how best can our constituent voices be heard to support these youth justice issues in 2021? And what sort of expectations should we have when keeping in mind COVID and keeping safe when potentially going to the State House?
I'm not even sure I'm able to answer that for me as a legislator. I don't know that we've really arrived at any protocols that require masks be worn. Now there are signs when you enter the State House to wear a mask and to socially distance, but I don't know that that's going to be adhered to by everyone, and I don't know that there are going to be any consequences for those who do not. The way that we are structuring the Senate side, the House is different. But on the Senate, there will be rooms where individuals who come to testify will be able to, that they will be directed to a particular room, and you will then have your comments available to be heard in the chamber where the session or the committee will be meeting. And Senator Glick, that may not be accurate actually, because I don't think all of the committees are going to be held in the chambers. But it will be very different, and you will have to. I would encourage anyone who is interested in coming down to the State House to reach out to a legislator that they have had an opportunity to introduce themselves to and feel that they have formed some kind of relationship with, just to find out if there are any new instructions that they might need to be aware before they make their way down. Also, I would say go to our website, go to the Indiana General Assembly website to see if there are any instructions there as to what some of the protocols may be at the time that you're thinking about coming down. And just use good common sense. Make sure that you do that you double mask, and that you bring hand sanitizer, and that you're prepared to wash your hands frequently as need be, and that you're certainly supportive of the social distancing concept.
Absolutely, thank you.
Let me add just a little bit. I think this session is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very different. I joined Senator Breaux in saying, make sure you make contact ahead of time. If there's a bill you're following, or if there's, you're involved in that way, make sure you check with the chair, or at least the committee, the chairman's legislative assistant, because I think we're going to be doing things on the fly, to be realistic. I believe that if COVID breaks out within the session, we're going to have some recesses. So a Tuesday committee hearing, let's say for corrections and criminal law, it may be scheduled for 9:30, 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, but you better check ahead of time, because if 2 or 3 members of that committee, get sick, it may be continued. It may turn into a Zoom meeting or whatever, and save yourself a trip to Indianapolis, because if we break quorum, we won't have a hearing. But they will be testifying. Individuals will be testifying from one room. The committee is going to be in a separate room. The individuals who want to hear it can tune in, and will be able to do so sometimes from their offices, sometimes from another spot in the State House. So it's going to be very different this year than what it is normally. Hopefully this won't go on forever, but we're just going to have to adjust to the whole COVID situation on the fly, much like you're doing your own work at home. You just have to meet the requirements of the situation, and it's going to be addressed as we go. So.
And I do want to point out another thing Senator Glick just said, and that is that they have in the past at least been live streamed, so you could watch them remotely. I suspect that I think they're still planning to do that, but again, as she said, things will be very different.
Yeah, thank you for that. Sounds like we'll definitely need to keep on our toes, and just gonna put out a plug for joining the coalition or Indiana Coalition for Youth Justice. We're a great coalition, and we work together to keep people up to date on these constant changes and last minute updates or reschedules and things like that. So definitely encourage you to join our network, so we can keep you up to date on what's going on, when things are happening and things like that. So thank you, Senators Breaux and Glick. I really appreciate your insight. It's great hearing this information straight from the mouths of actual legislators. So I really appreciate that.
And may I say, it's been wonderful sharing this with Senator Glick. It's wonderful to do these in a bipartisan way.
Yes, I absolutely love that. So I'm really glad that we were able to do that today. So thank you. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Maddie Gregory. She's the communications director at Mccoy, and she's also been a really great member for the Indiana Coalition for Youth Justice in terms of she runs our social media. She's created our website. She's just stuns me every day with what she can accomplish for our coalition. So thank you in advance for that. But I'll let Maddie take it over, and she's just going to go over some of the resources that we've put together for the 2021 legislative session.
Thanks for that, Sarah. And if anyone was curious about what my hex code colors were, it's canary yellow, eggplant purple, and ancient burgundy in my bio. I am the website person and the designer. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get through this quickly. I know that everyone's got somewhere to be. Can you all see that okay? Thumbs up? Okay, yeah, great. Yeah. Perfect. So we really wanted to make sure that this legislative season or session was approached in a way that was accessible for everyone, so that we could kind of do this and it wasn't just targeted towards people who have kind of been doing this for a while. So we wanted to go ahead and create a legislative toolkit, and I don't know if you can see that. Okay, great. So this is where you just go to, I put the link in the chat for both our coalition and this resource page. And it's really just a means, it's kind of like a one-stop shop to find, one, the briefing papers that everyone's mentioned before that really have the solid content to create your message. But it's also got the materials that we talked about with connecting with legislators. Sarah put together a fantastic Advocacy in Indiana tutorial that's got all sorts of information in it. It's really fun to look at, but it's also digested in a way that's easy for everyone to process and get the hang of. We've got Sarah's video there as well. And then the selected legislators that she referenced earlier, which comes down to who they are, what they're familiar with, and how to get in contact with them. And this is the Advocacy tutorial. So it's got the basics, and it's actually very helpful. She's crafted it in a way that's accessible to youth as well. So we have a lot of incredibly smart, bright young people on this call, which has been awesome to see. And this document will be really helpful in approaching the next part. We've also created a social media samples. It's just kind of a way to help craft your message with statistics, with hashtags that will get you noticed, but also a plea to help share our story. If it's super easy just to hit the like and click button for our ICYJ channels, the Indiana Coalition channels. And so we also have right here the Join the Coalition. It makes it super easy. Click on it, tell us your name, tell us your email, and why youth justice is important to you. I'm going to wrap it up super quickly, John A., but I did want to share that we are also, because like we heard such impactful messaging from our young people on the call today, as well as our legislators. And the resounding piece was that stories matter. And so part of our communications initiative for this coalition moving forward is to collect stories from both youth who have touched the legal system and adults who were impacted by the juvenile justice system growing up. And so we have a call out on here, and I just want to give a shameless plug. If you share a story with me, I will buy you coffee or tea or whatever you'd like. I love hearing those stories, and I love being able to help share them with you. So you'll go to inyouthjustice.org and navigate from there, figure everything out. And that's really all I have to do.
Well, my goodness, we've actually finished 3 minutes before time. I just want to emphasize, Marcy in the chat said one of the great hallmarks of youth justice reform across the country is that it has nearly always been championed in a bipartisan manner. And that's exactly what we're doing here. And we appreciate Senator Glick, you being here. We appreciate Senator Breaux. There are a number of Republicans that are sponsoring these bills that we've talked about today. And we have Democratic support too. We are just very excited about the possibility going forward. And this is an ongoing discussion. The legislative process is a process. And even though we may not get everything we want in one session, we are starting a dialogue that I think is at a deeper level. And it's going to go, I think, in good places. We need to keep you all engaged. And we really appreciate your being here today. Do take us seriously when we say get involved. We want to know who you are and how you want to be involved. And if you have an organization, we'd love to make you a part of this coalition. So anyway, I wish you all a very good day and have a great December with your families, and see you in January.